Manchester United won, Fulham won. One more point than we got this time last week, but probably a much more concerning performance. Now, a point at Craven Cottage isn't the worst thing, but that second half was just the same as last season. It was not encouraging. It was pretty poor. I thought the first 15, 20 minutes from Manchester United was really good. I think we deserved to be 2-0 up 20 minutes in. And I was thinking, oh, we're playing so well these first 15, 20 minutes. How are we not 1-0 up? And I felt unlucky. And I felt going in at half time, I felt mostly positive. I felt that we were playing well and the goals just wasn't coming. Bruno missed a penalty. Cunha hit the post. Cunha had another good chance. And I thought Cunha was excellent the first half. I thought Mason Mount had some nice touches. I thought Bruno had his probably worst performance in the Man United shirt for a while in that first half. I thought Bruno was shocking. I thought the defence was absolutely fine. But that second half from Manchester United was absolutely appalling. I haven't wrote any notes on the game. I don't have any slides because I just want to be brutally honest and break down sort of 5 things I picked out from the game. But that second half was appalling. And you've got to look at Amorim. Some of his decisions today, it's like he doesn't know how to control a game at times. You know, I think you couldn't fault Amorim one bit versus Arsenal. It was not Amorim's fault in the slightest. We lost versus Arsenal. And look, Amorim clearly needs a midfielder. We were getting outworked in the middle of the park. They were running for us. Just not having a midfielder there is so obvious because we keep going long. We keep avoiding the midfield. But look, Kobbie Mainoo is there on the bench. Kobbie Mainoo knows how to control a game. Kobbie Mainoo knows how to set the tempo. He knows how to be involved in build-up. And he's been completely ignored again. And you sometimes say, look, Amorim needs a midfielder, but also Ugarte over Kobbie Mainoo. Like, I don't see the logic in that. So we're going to have conversations about Manchester United and everything because it was worrying. If we look at current Premier League teams, Amorim has won 4 out of 28 games versus current Premier League teams because, you know, Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich are not current Premier League teams anymore. That's 4 wins in 28 games versus current Premier League sides. That is worrying. We also look at other underlying statistics and numbers, and I don't want to be too reactionary here, but when we played versus Fulham, no Man United player scored. It was an own goal. When we played versus Arsenal, no Man United player scored. But it was fine. When we played Villa last game of the season, Eriksen and Ahmad scored. But then when we played Spurs, no Man United player scored. When we played Chelsea, no Man United player scored. And when we played West Ham, no Man United player scored. The only game we scored a goal in our last six Premier League games was against Villa last game of the season. You know, the goal we got today was an own goal. And it's concerning that we spent 200 million on attackers and we do look better in attack. Matheus Cunha has some good quality. I thought Mbeumo was really good in the Arsenal game, a bit quiet today. I think Sesko, we couldn't really get him involved, but he had some nice touches and showed some nice signs. But it is frustrating how it's just the ball wasn't going in the back of the net. And, you know, look, we should have been 2-0 up. Within 20 minutes, and Bruno should have scored a penalty. And on another day, if we had the luck of Arsenal, we could have gone in at halftime 3-0, and it could have been a very different game, and we could have had a very different reaction. So I'm not sitting here being like, Amorim out, screw Amorim. But what I am saying is this game showed elements of last season, and we don't want to see that. And look, the new signings are going to take time to gel. Things are going to take time to gel. Craven Cottage, it's a difficult place to go. We need a midfielder. And there was positives today. The first 15, 20 minutes, I was really happy with the performance. But again, we don't seem to be creating loads and loads in the final third. You know, Cunha takes a fantastic touch. Cunha hits the post that's coming from Cunha brilliance. You know, and that I think is something was frustrating because, look, I thought the first half was good. I thought the defence was good, but we just didn't do anything in the second half. And it got to the point where we got to about the 80th minute and I said, I'd take a point because I felt like Fulham were more likely going to win that game than us. But yeah, I want to break down the game. I want to break down player performances and give you my general thoughts because I like that actually he was quite attacking when he brought Sesko on. He didn't bring one of the front three off. But I just don't think Dalot for Amma was the right call because Dalot was at fault for the goal. I see people blaming Bruno for the goal. Bruno was atrocious today. Don't get me wrong, but Bruno wasn't for me. You can't blame Bruno for the goal. De Ligt probably could have done better for the goal. But outside of that, I think De Ligt had a good game. But I thought Dalot was poor there. Now, I'm going to start with the positive. Leny Yoro is the first name on the Man United team sheet. Let's start positive, okay? Leny Yoro is the first name on the Man United team sheet. I honestly think he might be our best player right now. There's nobody that comes close to that right centre-back role. He's the first name on the team sheet. Corners, set pieces, defensively, on the ball, looks fantastic. He was phenomenal. Other than the goal, Matthijs de Ligt also had a very good game. And I thought Matheus Cunha was really bright early on, but faded a little bit. But Cunha is one of those guys where you just need to give him the ball in a good area and he's got a moment in him. He's going to come in and out of games. So I thought Leny Yoro was mint. I think Leny Yoro is incredible, and I think Leny Yoro is a Rolls-Royce centre-back. And I have to say, Ruben Amorim has done really good work with Leny Yoro and really good work with the defence and massively improved the defence. But not scoring goals again. And when we do concede, it's coming from our own errors. Could have done better. The low, what you doing there? You know, Bayern Deer for the goal against Arsenal, coming from our errors. So it's not completely on Amorim. I'm not completely blaming Amorim for today, but I'm just saying Amorim's decision-making and I think our inability to control the game and see what was wrong, which was midfield control, and we were still not doing anything or changing anything to get around that, was a little bit concerning. Look, I love Bruno Fernandes. I big up Bruno Fernandes a lot. I always big up Bruno Fernandes, but he should have been subbed off. I will protect Bruno from people that hate him, from people that think he's the problem, because he's done a lot for this club. But Bruno Fernandes should have been hooked by the 70th minute. He should have been hooked. He should have been subbed off. He missed the penalty. His head wasn't there. He was having a bad game. Bruno Fernandes is a world-class player in a system that doesn't suit him, playing in a role that doesn't suit him. And he was crap today. And he wasn't good versus Arsenal. People will write off Bruno because he might have 3 or 4 bad games at the start of the season. Then by December time, he'll probably have an amazing month and everyone will be hyping him up again. You sometimes get that with Bruno. But Bruno isn't untouchable. You know, Bruno isn't untouchable. Sub him off. Amorim saying, you know, you'll get minutes based on what you deserve, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Well, sub Bruno off. I'm Bruno's biggest fan. I know the quality of Bruno. He should have been taken off today. Look, I thought Bayern Deer, you know, actually made a really good save, really good pass, created the only big chance, you know, to Cunha. But the set pieces was concerning. I think Bayern Deer didn't do anything wrong today. I think it was one of his best games at United, but the set pieces was concerning. But look, I actually think he distributed it better than Anana Bayern Deer today. He's just definitely a liability at set pieces. But I thought he made some good subs, and I give Bayern Deer a lot of sticks, so I'll give him credit with that. I just felt like we couldn't control the game. I felt like every time we got the ball, we were just rushing it, and we were rushing it, and we were rushing it. Or we didn't know what to do and we're playing it around the back. And we're just completely avoiding that midfield. We're not playing through that midfield. And maybe it's because it's a midfield 2 versus a midfield 3 because Amorim plays a midfield 2. I don't know. But I just felt that we kept going long. And that was frustrating. And I just feel like we need somebody in the midfield that can take the ball, control it, recycle it. And Mainoo is the best player we got at that. And while there's physical concerns, I just felt that this was a game that was crying out for Mainoo, not Ugarte. And I get why he maybe put Ugarte on because we were 1-0 up at the time and he thought, well, let's be a bit more defensive. But it didn't work. And I think we need someone that can take care of the ball. Now, Ruben Amorim. I am a strong believer every manager needs time, and you can't judge a manager off the first 2 games of the season. Obviously, what we saw last season from Ruben Amorim was not encouraging, and we lost the Europa League final, and he got it massively tactically wrong in the Europa League final. However, every sporting fan says we should stick with him. We know that Ruben Amorim last season didn't have a replacement for Rashford or Anthony that went out on loan. Ahmad got injured, Xerxes got injured, and we know that it will take time for the new attackers to click. We know that Ruben Amorim needs a midfielder. We know that the goalkeeper is a liability, and we know that Ruben Amorim has improved the defenders. But Ruben Amorim has managed 29 matches for Manchester United and earned 28 points. It is relegation level form. And look, we're only 2 games into the season. I'm not going to be giving Amorim any judgment until we're 10 games into the season. But if we are 10 games into the season and we're playing like this, there will be reason for concern. Now, we have Burnley next, a team we should beat, a team that I would like us to win 3-4-0 against and get some goals against, because I want Amorim to succeed. And I think Amorim's done some good work out of possession. But we spent a lot of money. Of course, he needs time. But we need to see a bit more. We need to see a bit more going forward. And it's going to take time for the attack to click. The players' decision-making, the lack of brains in the players is worrying. He does not have that midfielder. But he's earned 28 points from 29 matches. And things that take time, you can't judge it off 2 games of the season. If you're sitting here and you've seen that game and you decided Amorim out, come on, it is reactionary. We could be playing really well against Burnley and we could go and beat City and Chelsea, and all of a sudden we could win our next 3 games and we could be sitting in a different position. It's early days. But it was worrying how Fulham were just overloading the central areas and we just completely lost the ball centrally. And we lost control of the game. And it was worrying. I feel like Amorim didn't know how to get control of the game back from what was a really good 20 minutes, if I was going to be totally honest. Now, if I was to do sort of player ratings or give general thoughts, I think that we looked most dangerous from set pieces. I think Mbeumo, as much as I like him, had a quiet game. He was much better versus Arsenal. I thought Cunha was good, but in and out of the game. Mason Mount had a good first half, but couldn't really get involved in the second half. I thought Bruno was shocking, if I'm going to be completely honest. I thought the midfield was pretty shocking. And I think, like, right now, last season was clearly a player quality issue. Last season was a definite player quality issue, but we've got some quality players in the door, and it's going to take time to click and all of that, but we need to see a little bit more. We need to see a little bit more control from United. We've got Burnley, then we've got City, then we've got Chelsea in our next 3 games. We need a win against Burnley. If we don't get a win against Burnley, all of a sudden, Amorim's under pressure. If we don't win against Burnley, all of a sudden the pressure's there. I think a win against Burnley, go into the international break, take the pressure off would be good, because I honestly think that this team is a confidence team as well. I think if we won 2-3 games in a row, I think we would take some momentum from that. I honestly do. I think we also need a little bit of confidence or something. But yeah, look, first half created a lot, missed the penalty, hit the post, missed the 1-on-1, could have gone in 3-0 up at half time. Second half, stop-start, dropped deep after the goal. After the goal, when it went 1-1 on our goal, we just dropped deep, and yeah, we invited on pressure, and we need to take the chances we create. Yeah, I don't want to be too negative, but I didn't like that game. I hated watching that game. We scored 0 goals from 3.91 XG this season, so you can say we've created this or that amount. But I hated that game. I absolutely hated that. I'm going to be completely honest. And I really want a good performance versus Burnley. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.